Namaskar to all. Today I am asked to talk about a very important subject, that is employment generation in India, the challenges and way forward. When we look at the job situation in India, we can say that India is a labor surplus country, and we have got a great demographic dividend, that is about 54% of the total population is below 25 years, and 66% of Indian population is below 35 years. So we have got a great demographic dividend, that is a plus point for our economy. But the challenge is we have to provide them jobs. They are young people, young population. If we are not providing them jobs, what will happen? This demographic dividend may on a fine morning turn into a demographic nightmare. So providing jobs is a great challenge to all of us. We can say the major economic issue in India is employment generation. We have got the problem of unemployment, underemployment, below quality jobs, and low wages, social security, etc. Below quality jobs means there is permanent employments are being replaced in India today by casual jobs, contract labor, etc. This is also a problem. The NSSO data says during the last 45 years, we had the highest unemployment rate, that is 6.1% during the year 2017-18. You cannot expect the government should create jobs for all the people in the country. But the government can only create a very, very favorable environment in which everyone gets jobs. So the government policy definitely have to move in a direction in which it stimulates the job intensive sectors in the country. That is fundamental to the activity of creating jobs. Now let us look to which are the job intensive sectors in the country. One unhappy situation in the country is that almost all the important job generating sectors, they are in a collapse state, they are in a fallen state. The major job creating sector is agriculture, it's in a collapse state. Then comes the manufacturing sector, including large small scale. It's facing a slowdown for the last several years. So the employment generating sectors are now in a crisis. That is a very, very important challenge before us. There are total workforce is calculated to be 48 crores. So among that, nearly half, less than half, is in agriculture. When we identify which are the most labor intensive sectors, agriculture comes first at 23 crores. Then comes the retail sector, nearly 5.6 crores, including retail traders and other retail sectors. Then comes the textile, 4.9 crores, including handloom workers. Then comes the IT sector, which is about 3.7 crores. Then comes the infrastructure and construction sector, which is about 3.6 crores. Then comes the rest of the manufacturing sector, 3 crores. When we compare the public sector as well as private sector, there also the job generation taking place in public sector is larger than the private sector. The employment was in public sector was 1.76 crore, whereas private sector provided only 1.199 crore. So this is the what says in economic survey of 2016-17. Why these job generating sectors are in a fallen state? That also we will have to examine. Mainly we will have to look at the defective policies pursued by successive governments, right from the inception of LPG reforms in 1991. In a capitalist system, all the employment issue cannot be resolved. That is the speciality of a capitalist system. When the LPG reforms were initiated in India, at that time Dr. Manmohan Singh, who initiated it, gave three promises. Out of that, one was it will generate employment. That was a promise. But within 10 years, the growth that was India was having was characterized by saying it is a jobless growth. So the first promise, that is the LPG reforms will generate employment, that failed. So India is already, after that there was no change in that paradigm, jobless growth paradigm, and India is already fallen into a black hole of a jobless paradigm. Whether we can escape out of it is a question now. So we have to try our level best to come out of that jobless paradigm. Apart from this LPG reforms, we had many international agreements, commitments, etc. That also how it is impacting on labor, on job generation. That also has to be examined. For example, our agreement in our joining WTO, free trade agreements with various countries, then FDI coming to India, then the activities of multinational corporations. The impact of these things have to be analyzed. And we will find there are strange policies pursued by the policymakers. That also is to be examined. The agricultural land is being converted into industrial land, that we have seen for the purpose of SEZs and EPZ, etc. Similarly, industrial buildings and lands are being converted into service sector. Many mills have been converted into malls. So these are all strange things happening. So we have to fix the role of agriculture sector, industry, and as well as service sector. The role of each has to be defined, and it has to be fixed first. Otherwise, one converting one into another, that will create havoc in the economy. Already it has created havoc. Now, when we look at the job displacing policies of the government, I'll just mention some of the job displacing policies pursued by the government. In the economic policy of LPG reforms, we will find the FDI that has destroyed many of the manufacturing hubs in the country. Then retail opening up. It is a great challenge to a large number of retail traders in the country. Then there are the labor displacing technologies coming from outside. We are blindly adopting such technologies without looking into our country specific situation. Then there is automation coming up. There is thoughtless mechanization. Then closing of PSUs, because PSUs provide quality jobs that is being converted into private firms. There also we are losing a lot of quality jobs, and in the place less number of casual jobs are being replaced. Then there is a issue of disinvestment, etc. So these are all something related to economic policy. Then we have our labor policy. That also the main purpose of labor policy is directed towards reducing labor cost. So there is a massive clauses taking place, retrenchments taking place. Then there is the government has declared exit policy. Then ban on recruitment, that is followed by the government in government departments, banks, etc. Right from 1985. Then many departments have abolished posts and staff. That is also as a government policy that has been implemented. Then there is downsizing of staffs and right sizing of branches is taking place in the banking system. Then VRS, CRS. Then there is a National Renewal Fund offer. These are all creating job losses in the country. In the recent labor law reforms also we find these types of several policy initiatives which are job displacing. The core of labor law reforms is hire and fire. So mostly firing takes place, hiring is less when in a manufacturing slowdown situation. There is a flexibility, means anybody can be fired at any time. That is the core of the labor law reforms. Then ease of closing business, that is the main issue discussed when changing the threshold limit of Chapter 5B. Then there is increasing of working hours. When you increase the working hours from 8 hours to 12 hours, you are compelling the same workers to work more when there is a large army of people waiting outside to get a job. So this is also labor displacing. Similarly, shifting regular jobs to contract system, low quality jobs, etc. Then new fixed term employment also. Anybody can be expelled at any time. So these are all labor law reforms related to job displacing. So because of all these labor reforms, economic reforms, labor policy changes, jobs are being displaced every day. This is a big issue for us. Then uh, when you look at how it has impacted in various sectors, I will just mention two, three sectors. In coal sector, for example, there were 8 lakh workers 12 years ago. Now it is about 2.5 lakhs. Similarly, in port, till 1990, there were 2 lakh employees. Now it is 40,000. In the defense sector, the PUCs have reduced 25% of their staff during the last 5 years. In handloom sector, because they are not getting sufficient income, people are committing suicide. This happens in agricultural sector also. So on a whole, what Bharatiya Mastu Sangh has been demanding the government for several years is that the government should come out with a white paper, because we are almost completing 30 years of LPG reforms or globalization in the next in 2021. So the government should come out a white paper on the plus and minus of these LPG reforms on job sector. And when you look at the banking reforms, there was Khandelwal committee on HR, and it recommended the clerical staff in the bank should be reduced. Then there was a Leeladhar committee report. It says right sizing of branches and downsizing of the staff. That's all reducing the banking sector work activity. Then there is the McKinsey report, which says 30% of the branches and staffs in Indian banking system has to be reduced. So everything is coming up to reduction of these things. So job generation is in a crisis because of all these policy changes. Similarly, the MSME is also very much affected because of these defective policies. The small scale sector in India is labor intensive, but they are facing now sickness, closure, job loss, etc. because of FDI, the onslaught of multinational companies, the capture of Indian market by Chinese products, etc. And the retail opening, what will be its impact? There are about more than 4 crore retail traders. They will be affected. Similarly, there is this retail coming, Walmart, etc. If they are coming up, what will be the situation? Even in the US, the Walmart is famously known as job killer. Many e-commerce giants are coming up that will wipe out the entire retail sector. Giants like Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, Jabong, Mahindra, etc. These are all already have started their destructive invasion. So our manufacturing sector is facing onslaught from outside. From inside, it is lacking innovation. So China has captured our market. This is also a thing we have to look into details. So that is why, because of the impact of all these LPG reforms, WTO, free trade agreements, etc., the economic survey of 2013-14, in the last year of Manmohan Singh regime. It said yes, that since 1947 is the lowest rate of manufacturing sector. Similarly, India's external deficit is the highest since 1950. These are the two shocking reports that Economic Survey of 2013-14 has said. That means our manufacturing sector, our MSMEs, they are in a crisis, and MSMEs are virtually wiped off from many of the small-scale hubs in the country. Previously, about 30-40 years back, we were seeing in every village there is a soda factory. People making soda with their hand rotating. But now, nowhere in the new generation has not seen any such thing in the country. Everything has been replaced by big Coca-Cola type of companies. So this is the way in which this external multinationals and external FDI, etc., they are replacing our manufacturing sector. Now the new trend has also come, that also has to be studied in depth. When the MSMEs find that they cannot stand alone because of the defective policies, no support from the government, etc. Because of that, there's a new trend is developing. The MSMEs are becoming the units of global supply chain giants. This is happening in the country. It is very fast expanding throughout the country. Supply chain is the latest exploitative system that is expanding in the whole world. It is also a new type of colonization. That is a small sector acting as a unit in a chain. So they will have the last one in the chain will not have any connection with the multinational company. Let us examine the role of technology coming up from outside. We are talking about Industry 4.0. We are talking about many disruptive technologies coming to India. Now the question is, are we prepared to face this Industry 4.0? Because many people have raised the apprehension that it will reduce jobs. Many people have warned about disruptive technology coming up. Are we prepared for all these challenges? When we talk about disruptive technology, there is automation slowly expanding in India. Artificial intelligence has come up. Robotics have come up. They are in the name of cobots, chatbots, etc. Then 3D printing is there. There is auto parts can be made by that. Then IoT, there is Internet of Things. Then machine learning. There is deep learning, cloud computing, blockchain, big data, bank tellers. Then for lawyers, there is e-discovery, and there is driverless or robo cars. So these are all things coming into India, where India requires strong labor intensive technologies, whereas all these are labor displacing technologies. How we should face the coming of all these types of technologies? We have to be very selective. We have to be very cautious when adopting these technologies to Indian conditions. Already, many of our industries has become many robot centric. For example, Volkswagen, it has about 123 robots in their Pune plant. Similarly, Hyundai is having about 400 robots in its factory in Chennai. Similarly, Maruti Suzuki, Royal Enfield, Mahindra and Mahindra, Tata Motors, etc. They are also employing robots for the manufacturing of cars. It was said that the Aaj Tak newsroom, it is humanless. It is running on artificial intelligence. So these are all taking place in the country. Then in the cement industry, maximum automation has taken place. Then logistics, e-commerce companies, pharmaceutical sector, battery manufacturers, they are all now automated. Robots are there. And Tata Motors has already created a indigenous Tata Bravo, India's first indigenous robot. So these changes are taking place. In the case of artificial intelligence, India is today 19th in the world. So India is also going in that direction, and it is likely to create loss of about 20 crores. That is what Mohandas Pai has warned. So the government also is moving in the direction of welcoming artificial intelligence. Niti Aayog has proposed a plan of 7,500 crores for investing in artificial intelligence. Already a budget allocation of 200 crores is given to for that purpose. So these are things come up. So what is the solution? We need innovative technologies. Without technology, we cannot move forward. But what type of technology we should adopt? That regarding that we have to think. We need technology that is suited to Indian conditions. Machines are to assist humans; they should not replace humans. This is fundamental to adopting any technology. In the West, they have got more capital and less workers. In that situation, these things are very good. In Japan also, they try to have labor displacing technology. They engage robots in restaurants, etc. That we are hearing because they find sometimes they find shortages manpower. But we need technology that is labor intensive, and the technology should not be retrenching people. Technology without retrenchment. So we need to have advanced technological tools for our indigenous, our traditional producers in agriculture sector, in small scale sector, tiny and micro sector, etc. We need to have advanced technological tools, but that should be suited to Indian conditions. So BMS has demanded previously that the government should formulate a comprehensive technology policy, and the government also should constitute a national technology commission. These were our demands. Now, when we look at the employment generation situation, when country is facing a lot of unemployment, there is one major sector that acts as a shock absorber. That is the informal sector. In normal times, many people say that the 93 percentage of unorganized sector or such a volume of informal sector is a curse to India. That is true. We have to formalize, we have to organize all these sectors. But in during the time of crisis, this informal sector, this unorganized sector, they act as a shock absorber. During the pandemic days recently, when we look at the analyze the some of the reports during the COVID days, nearly eight core sectors they were affected, but out of it, only one sector, that is fertilizer sector, that has recorded a growth of about 7.5 percentage. That shows the agricultural activity has increased. Similarly, sowing of kharif crops, that has doubled this time, and rural employment has come back to pre-COVID levels. This report also has come up. So that means economic activity in the rural areas, in the agricultural sector, agricultural related sectors, that all been uh, uh, vitalized right now, because all those people, migrant workers, etc., they are coming back to their home states. There is a natural adoption of these people and giving them employment. This is done by the informal sector. That's why I said it is almost a shock absorber, acting as a shock absorber when our economy is facing a crisis. And a report also has come up that there is about 26 percentage of unemployment in the country right now during the crisis stage. After the 2 3 months, This is recorded. Previously, our unemployment rate was 8%. So this will show the gravity of the situation regarding unemployment. The only silver lining is nearly 50% of people is dependent on agriculture. So we have to say that in a crisis situation, India is alive because of our poor villagers. But these people, these employees, these workers, you call it as cheap labor. In a health crisis, when all other sectors face crisis, we did not face a food crisis because of these people. So we have to bow them. And even we have to congratulate, compliment our youth. Even in spite of they are not getting sufficient employment, there is a massive job loss. They are very much disciplined. There is no youth unrest we are facing. That is also a great thing for India. So that means India has shown a high social capital compared to many other Western countries. These are all plus points, but the government has to make all efforts to provide jobs, provide an environment, create an environment in which everyone, every hand gets a job. Otherwise, this demographic dividend, as I already said, it may become a demographic nightmare. At any time, the youth may resort to unrest. That also may happen. So we have to be very careful. We have to think loudly about how employment generation has to be in the priority. Another issue that is related to employment generation is the increasing casualization. The speed in which casualization is taking place in the country is alarming. Below quality jobs are created in the place of permanent quality jobs. The majority of workers in India are engaged in micro sector, but most of them are less than 10 workers. So there is for them no law is applicable, no social security, nothing. So they are all working in below quality environment. In a crisis, in a situation where there is slowdown, etc., the first thing all these people resort is reducing the labor cost. That creates a low quality jobs. So they go for cheap and substandard jobs. Contract labor is increasing every day. This is there. So such decent job deficit that also needs to be addressed. Now let us go to the solution part of it. The major change that we require in the policy initiatives is there should be employment friendly policies. So there should be development without retrenchment, and all the stimulus packages that should be addressed to the job generating sectors. This Bharatiya Vastu Sangh has demanded when this government was formulating a stimulus package. We also said that the jobs are situated in basically two sectors, that is agricultural and the tiny and micro and small sector. So the small scale sector and agriculture has to be given maximum thrust. Fortunately, that has happened. Stimulus package of nearly 20 lakh was declared. Good. So while doing that exercise, we have to analyze what is the impact of foreign agreements. So there should be a job audit and business impact assessment regarding these foreign agreements like free trade agreements, etc. Then connecting job seekers and job providers, that is also very important in India. There is a paradox. There is a paradox. Many people are not having jobs, but many units they are seeking workers with sufficient skilled workers. So they should be connected together. There, the Laghu Udyog Bharati Rajasthan, they have created a good model. They have made a portal to connect job seekers and job providers. That is a good initiative. In such a way, the labor information system and the employment exchanges has to be highly activated. Now, a new avenue has been created in the country because of the anti-China wave in the country as well as in the other countries also. There is a scope for new investments, new initiatives, new production mechanism, etc. Because of this anti-China wave, that has to be utilized to the maximum. There also we require lot of support to the tiny and micro sector. They are the maximum employment generating sectors. So we have to encourage the MSMEs. Now, the Tirupur model is also worth emulating. Tirupur model, everyone in that area, they try to become entrepreneur. And whereas the labor shortage arising will be filled by migrant workers. This is happening there. So that type of a initiative, innovation, that also is required everywhere. So the government has to declare a national employment policy in which all these things has to be comprehensively discussed. Now, when people are losing jobs in a crisis situation like that we are facing right now, unemployment allowance also is to be given to the people, especially the youth. The best allowance is that is Manarega. So it is the world's largest employment guarantee scheme. During the 2019-20, nearly 27.4 crores persons were registered, but jobs could be provided only to 7.9 crores. So there is a mismatch between those who are registering and those who are being given jobs. That also has to be removed. That it should be actively pursued. This time, during the pandemic, there is about 4 times increase in the registration. That also is a good sign. So the government should make all efforts to provide jobs to all these people. So we have to focus on agriculture and agro-based industries also. We should not have a defective policy which says agriculture need to be replaced by industry. That is wrong. All the agricultural workers has to be inducted into industry. That is wrong. Agriculture has its own role. It has to be modernized and new innovative things has to come up. People should have skilled people should engage in the agriculture. Now we have to move to a concept of decent jobs as proposed by International Labour Organization. We need quality jobs. So decent jobs and productive jobs, that is required. Creating mere jobs without any quality, what is the use? So the decent working conditions, social security, all these things has to be given to every worker in the country. In the same way, our jobs have to be green jobs. Many people say we want jobs first, then decent jobs. That is also not correct. Jobs should carry with it the decent element in it. So that is there. So we have to move from exploitative types of jobs to decent jobs. That is also very important. Another important aspect is we need to have a system of skilling. Already there is an ambitious plan of training about nearly 50 crores by 2022. This is an ambitious plan. But until we relate the entire skilling process to the academics, it cannot be achieved. So from school years, high school onwards, the formal education should be optional. The student should have opportunity to take up vocational education. For that purpose, we have to train a large army of trainers first, and they have to be inducted in schools. Many people, especially those coming from outside, they are skilled in certain jobs. So they should have good avenues in India. Before that, there should be a skill mapping of all these returnees, all these people. Similarly, from interstate migrants also, those who are returning, they also are coming with new skills. They also should be utilized in proper places. Then apprentices, that system has to be encouraged, but now it has become a exploitative system. Workers are being kept in the name of apprentices for long period. That is an exploitative system. That should not happen. They should have decent stipend. We should give a human face to all these policies. Business is required, but human is more important. So when the during the pandemic times, the world is faced with a question whether human should be given importance or business is to be given importance. America said business is important for them, and without business we cannot even spend a single minute. So they did not go for lockdown and other things. So America is losing lakhs and lakhs of people due to the pandemic COVID-19. But India said humans are more important. We locked all the businesses. So we did not have so much casualties. In the same way, everywhere we have to give prominence to humans, and business should be ancillary. If the human beings are protected, then business also automatically will improve. For that purpose, people's participation is required in governance. So, regarding employment, when you look at the world countries, 44 countries have got an employment policy. India also needs such a thing. So we have to have a employment policy which says uh, giving priority to labor intensive reforms, technology, and labor intensive planning. And with this new thrust and employment with a new employment policy, definitely we can give employment to all the hands in the country. With this positive note, let me conclude. Thank you.